NASCAR says there is no delay that is going to be happening for the next-gen car. Junior Motors is still looking to potentially move up to the Cup Series in the foreseeable future, and NASCAR silly season may be picking up here very, very soon. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. We got a lot of NASCAR stories to discuss here today on the channel. Let's go and just jump straight into those very, very quickly. We're going to talk about rain tires. As it was reported yesterday by podcasters that NASCAR is not planning on using rain tires this weekend at New Hampshire. There have been potential that they were going to use rain tires since New Hampshire is a mile track, and they've been basically testing rain tires on short tracks, on tracks that are miles or less. There have been potential that they were going to be using rain tires this weekend at New Hampshire, and there was chatter about it, but they are not going to be using rain tires in New Hampshire. NASCAR says currently at the moment that they are not prepared and they are not ready to release it at this time. I'm not surprised, to be honest with you. I don't expect that we will see any sort of rain tires on the racetrack, at least probably till at least next year, maybe later in the year. I would expect probably next year, maybe some point at a track like Martinsville, which is a flat track, or Richmond. I still think that there are going to be more tests that are needing to be done. I mean, we haven't heard much in regards to that since the last test in Richmond, so we're definitely going to have to keep an eye on the story for sure. But like I said, I'm not 100% surprised that we're not going to be seeing rain tires as of right now and for the foreseeable future. So we'll definitely keep an eye on the story for sure, but rain tires will not be used at New Hampshire coming up here really, really soon. And now we're going to jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we are talking about Spencer Boyd. As Spencer Boyd is going to be driving a 52 car for GMS Racing this weekend here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Most of the year we've seen Greg Golding in the 52 car, but Spencer Boyd is going to be in the 52 car this weekend due to sponsorship obligations, and Spencer Boyd does bring some sort of funding. That's why Spencer Boyd has been in the series for a very, very long time. I think that this is a very good pickup, at least this weekend, for GMS Racing. I think Spencer Boyd is a very, very solid driver. He does have one win in the NASCAR Truck Series back in 2019. We kind of got a lucky win due to Johnny Slaughter forcing Riley Hurst to the line, and Spencer Boyd got a lucky first career Truck Series victory. So he does have a win. And he's had some decent stats in the past when he's driven for teams like SS Greenlight Racing. So I think that this is a great decision that they are bringing in a driver like Spencer Boyd to help out this team. And I think Spencer Boyd has potentially get to see potentially a top 20 or even a top 25. And being that optimistic, I think that this team will have a very strong run this weekend. Greg Golding, like I said, will be back in the car probably once we come back from the break. But I think that this is a great decision. I think the goal for this team will be like a top 20 or top 25. The field is really, really competitive in the NASCAR Xfinity Series now. But I think that this team overall has that potential to run up front. And I think it's great to see that Spencer Boyd is going to be in the Jimmy Means car this weekend here at New Hampshire. And now we're going to go ahead and jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we are talking about the National Fairgrounds. Now, there was another board meeting that basically happened this meeting, and we basically have had some surveys go out in regards. As you're seeing on the screen, there is a bunch of surveys. Now, what the summary basically said from the surveys that came out for them potentially returning to the Cup, to NASCAR, to the National Fairgrounds, they basically said that many of the people that they surveyed were against it. So they basically had surveyed, I think, 500 people. 66% said no. 34% of the individuals said yes. And some individuals said they're not sure and they're still looking into it at this current moment. And many, like I said, many were not supportive of it. Basically, they also said Annette, they could potentially delay the release of this and potentially delay them going ahead with the bill. We have basically been in the middle of a fight to potentially get the National Fairgrounds back into the NASCAR Cup Series schedule, because SMI has been really, really pushing. You've had people like Dale Earnhardt Jr., Marcus Smith, and the mayor that have been extremely pushing for it. However, there has been a lot of setbacks. You've been talked about the meetings, I think about a month or two ago, that basically there's been a ton of pushback from the national fans, people that live in the national area that are not fans of it. Like there was that one lady that basically complained because of her dog was basically scared. You've had her basically being misinformed, individuals being misinformed in regards to that, and they basically reached out to them, but they did say that they could end up delaying. Now, one thing I do want to bring up is that if you're living in the national area, this track has been around since 1900. This is not a new racetrack. This racetrack has been around for a very, very long time. So who was there before? The racetrack or you? I'm going to say the racetrack. Now, the S-Rex is going to be there over there this weekend. However, what we found out is for this weekend, they are going to be using mufflers for noise mitigation. So one thing I will say is that they're trying to bring noise mitigations. What Bristol is trying to do is, I think overall, is really, really good. It is unfortunate fans and people in that area are not, and people living in the area are not overall really happy. Like I said, you don't have all people that are against it, but I think that they are in for a rude awakening. And I'm very surprised that people are mad about this, considering you have a soccer stadium that's getting built. To me, I'm just not a fan of this overall. I do hope it does come back, but this is not overall good sign. However, we still have a lot of time, and they can delay it going forward, and we'll have to keep an eye on this. But there is a very strong chance that there's not a lot of good setback going forward for the National Fairgrounds at this moment, unfortunately. And now we're going to jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we are talking about Chase Briscoe. As Chase Briscoe is going to be competing in the Brian Clausen S39 Nationals in Indianapolis Motor Speedway later this year in August. Remember, there is an Indianapolis dirt track that takes place that they have in the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and basically they have this thing called the BCS 39 Nationals in honor of Brian Clausen. This is a very, very big event. We've seen a lot of people that have competed in the event, and another driver like Chase Briscoe. I would not be surprised if Kyle Larson also does compete in this event. I think it's really good to see that Chase Briscoe is a very, very solid dirt racer once again competing. I think, like I said, I would not be shocked if Chase Briscoe goes out there and wins this event. He's really, really good at dirt racing. We've seen him do very, very well, especially in his time truck series. I know this last time he raced a dirt race, which is Knoxville, did not go solid, but he's ran really well in the Chili Bowl in the past, and I think Chase Briscoe going back there is going to be really good for the series overall. I'm really excited about the series. Like I said, I think Chase Briscoe has an extremely well shot of contending for the victory, and definitely really good news overall that Chase Briscoe is going to compete in the event. I'm really happy about that for sure. And now we're going to go ahead and jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we are talking about Chase Elliott. As Chase Elliott is going to be running in two upcoming events here in the foreseeable future. One of those events has been taking place here on Tuesday. The other event is going to be taking place later today here on Wednesday. Now, he's going to be racing for Chase Briscoe's team, and he's going to be racing for Chase Briscoe and Paul May's team. And he already ran earlier last night at Red Dirt Raceway. Not sure how he did that. But he's also running tonight at Solomon Valley Raceway as well. Chase Elliott is going to have a very busy week. Like I mentioned, he's got two USAC events this week. He's also running, like I said, he's also running the SRX race on Saturday night in the season finale for National Fairgrounds, and he's running the Cup Series race at New Hampshire. The fact that Chase Elliott is going out there and branching to other motorsports is really, really great to see. The last time he made it in an event was the Chili Bowl, and he made it, I believe, to the D-Main for the first time, which is really, really impressive to see. And I think Chase Elliott honestly could contend for victory in his event, considering he has had not a ton of dirt experience, and yet he's done extremely well in those events. So to me, I'm really excited to see that Chase Elliott is going to be in those events. And I'm happy that he's basically exploring and going out to run different forms of racing. And I think that you're going to see a lot of people who are going to tune into flow racing. A lot of people are going to buy subscriptions. Like I've mentioned, Chase Elliott is the most popular NASCAR driver. And a lot of those NASCAR fans might tune into their first dirt event seeing that Chase Elliott is racing those events. And I think this is great overall for NASCAR and dirt racing as well. And great to see Chase Elliott is going to be competing in a couple dirt races coming up here very, very soon. Now we're going to jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we're talking about Christopher Bell. As Christopher Bell is going to be racing in the NASCAR Xfinity Series race this weekend in New Hampshire, driving the number 54 for Joe Gibbs Racing. Christopher Bell is making his first NASCAR Xfinity Series start since he ran full-time back in 2019. The last race he competed in was Homestead. He was not able to pick up his first ever Xfinity Series championship in his second full-time season. He was not able to win the championship, but this will be the first time he's back at Joe Gibbs Racing. I think Christopher overall could win this event. This 54 car is currently second in the owner's points, and this car, regardless of which driver has been in it, regardless it's been Ty Gibbs, who's won a couple races this year, Kyle Busch, who run every single event he's been in, or whatever driver has been in this car, has been up front contending for victories and has shown a ton of speed in these events. And to me, I think Christopher Bell, who also won in New Hampshire in 2019, I also think in 2018 as well, I think Christopher Bell is going to have a lot of speed in this event. I think he's going to show what he's going to be able to do. And I would not be surprised coming into this weekend if he's able to pick up his first win in the Xfinity Series in 2021. I'm not sure if he's going to be running other races. I'm not sure if this is the only time he will be running this year. There have been potential rumors that he was going to run earlier this year. I'm not surprised he's running this event, and it's really good to see that Christopher Bell is coming back and racing in the NASCAR Trucks Xfinity Series here at New Hampshire. I think he's going to have a good shot of winning this event for sure. And now we're going to go ahead and jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we are talking about Josh Berry. As Josh Berry is going to be substituting for Michael Annette this weekend here in New Hampshire Motor Speedway, driving the number 1 in substitute for Michael Annette. For a lot of people who did not watch this, have been following his story in regards to Michael Annette. Michael Annette did not compete in the Truck Series, but he was supposed to compete in the 02 for Young's Motorsports, and unfortunately he suffered a leg injury, and Chris Windham substituted for him in the NASCAR Truck Series, and Austin Dillon drove the #1 for Junior Motorsports this past weekend in substitution. Austin Dillon had a pretty solid run with the team, and Chris Windham had a decent run overall with that team. Despite having a flat tire, I think he finished in the top 20 in this event. First of all, I'm wishing Michael Annette the best of luck, and hopefully his leg will get better, especially if there's going to be a two-way break. He's hoping to be back at Watkins Glen in a couple weeks, but for those of you who are Michael Annette fans overall, there is some good news. Michael Annette has been approved of a playoff waiver. I think it's absolutely right that they are giving him a playoff waiver, considering, like I said, it's a leg injury. And I've seen some people that are like, well, why are they giving him a playoff waiver, but not giving Josh Berry or Grant Enfinger? Because this is a leg injury, and it's an injury, and they've given people injuries or extreme causes, and in my opinion, this is an extreme cause. Now, talking about Josh Berry Racing, I think this is once again a very, very good opportunity for Josh Berry. We've seen Josh Berry run a majority of races in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. He's driven for Jordan Anderson Racing. He's driven in the Truck Series for Rackley War Racing. He's driven most of this year with Junior Motorsports, and now he's back with Junior Motorsports in substitution for Michael Annette. I would not be surprised if Josh Berry overall has a very, very strong run this weekend and even contends for the victory. He's done really well. This track suits his racing style, and he ran really well at Dover, even though the track is not 100% the same. It is a mile track. I think that Josh Berry overall has an incredible shot of contending and hopefully do very, very well. I am wishing the best for Michael Annette and hopefully gets well really, really soon. But Josh Berry substituting for him is great to see, and it's great that he's getting another opportunity to race in the NASCAR Xfinity Series once again for a really, really good team. And now we're going to jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we're talking about the Knoxville and Atlanta TV ratings from this past weekend. It was revealed by Adam Stern earlier this evening, the ratings for this past weekend. Let's first talk about the Truck Series ratings, because those are not very good. According to Adam Stern, the Truck Series race on FS1 earned a 0.36 ratings and 594,000 viewers. That is one of the lowest rated Truck Series races in a long time. For the fact that Knoxville did get a lot of promotion for the Truck Series, I think they should have promoted it on Fox, except that the race was really, really bad. I would not be surprised if that was the average by the end of the night, because I think a lot of people were really, really frustrated and really, really pissed off. That is arguably one of the worst Truck Series races I've ever seen, and it was really, really bad. Now looking at the Xfinity Series for Atlanta, and it had a 0.62 rating and 1.121 million viewers on NBCSN. Not bad for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Usually the Xfinity Series gets about 1 to 1.2 million viewers, so it got in that middle range, so it's not bad. I know a lot of Kyle Busch fans will probably watch the event, especially since this is his final start in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, potentially. That's the news on there. And finally, let's take a look at the Cup Series. The Cup Series ratings for a cable event are not too bad. Basically, Cup Atlanta got a 1.47 rating and 2.51 million viewers. 2.51 viewers, excuse me. Really good ratings in my honest opinion for the Cup Series, considering it was on cable. Usually when it gets about the 2 to 3 million range, usually on cable it's 2 to 3 million. So there's no negatives there. I know there were some big events that were happening overall this week, but I think it's great to see that the ratings overall were kind of in that general range, at least for Cup. Like I said, Trucks is really, really bad. I think a lot of people were tuning out of that event, and not a lot were happy, considering the last time we raced a Truck Series event there wasn't really, really great. And for Atlanta Motor Speedway to have 2.51 million on the last time we raced on the Confederation is overall great for sure. And those are the TV ratings for this past weekend's races. And now we're going to go and jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we are talking about GMS Racing. Now, GMS Racing today showed off their shop on Twitter. Basically, their shop is extremely big, and they're showing off the future of what the team is going to be. And for those of you who don't know, GMS is planning on a Cup Series team. Now, GMS currently has not announced who their drivers are going to be, and if they are going to be running full-time or part-time. My speculation is that they're not going to be able to acquire a charter, and I think they're going to run part-time for the 2022 season. I do think that there could be eventually be an announcement coming for GMS in the coming weeks. It did say that their announcement is going to be coming in the coming weeks, and they made the announcement, I think, last month. I really think that that announcement for GMS could come during the couple of weeks. I think silly season is really going to pick up, and I would not be shocked if we hear drivers. Now, the question is, who are the drivers going to be for GMS is a question. I think that a lot of people are looking at two drivers, Zane Smith and Sheldon Creed, because both of them bring a lot of sponsorship. I'm not sure what's going to happen with silly season going forward and what GMS is going to do, but I think the shop looks really, really great. And I think GMS has a great future. Just hope that they don't have any sponsorship to back us going forward and no issues going forward in their sponsorship. Other than that, though, the future looks extremely promising for GMS, and I'm really excited about their future for sure. And now we're going to go ahead and jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we are talking about two stories that are a conglomerate into one. Let's start off with Matt DiBenedetto. Now, Matt DiBenedetto basically spoke to the media earlier today, and he basically said that he still has had no talks about the 2022 season in regards to what his plans are for the 2022 season. Says he is currently focused on the current performance, and similar to last year, he's hoping that performance will land him back at Wood Brothers for the 2022 season. If you're a Matt DiBenedetto fan that does watch my channel, or a Matty D fan, I think the fact that he is saying that to the media in the middle of July, that he's had no talks, I think that overall is extremely concerning, because Matt DiBenedetto, a lot of us think that he's either going to end up at a 2 or end up at a 21, but honestly, I'm a little, his future, honestly, is a little uncertain right now. I know that he said he wants to race a NASCAR car. I know he says he wants to race a NASCAR, but let's be for real. If he can't he can't perform, let's be for real. Matty D at his time with Wood Brothers over the past 2 years have not been absolutely fantastic. He's had some decent finishes. I mean, he's had a couple runner-up finishes in the past at Vegas, and he's had some decent runs throughout his entire career at Wood Brothers, but ever since time of Levine, he hasn't, and I thought that this year was going to be the year he was drastically going to take major improvements, and he really hasn't done that since his time, and I hope that overall he can improve as time goes on, but I am honestly a little bit concerned in regards to Matt DiBenedetto's future. If he doesn't return to Wood Brothers next year, or does he go to Team Penske, what happens? What team picks him up? Because 2311 is likely going to have Kurt Busch. You have Trackhouse Racing that's basically at this point rumoring a driver like, Ross Chastain to go to the ride so they can pick up all the drivers from Chip Ganassi Racing. So I don't know, maybe GMS picks him up. I'm not honestly sure, but I'm a little scared for Matt DiBenedetto's future. Hopefully he does get a ride going forward in a foreseeable future, gets a really, really good opportunity. But again, he hasn't done absolutely fantastic, and he's not won a NASCAR Cup Series race yet. I think he will need to win to have a really good opportunity, and he hasn't shown that so far this year. So hopefully improve as time goes on. But he hasn't done that great this year, and hopefully the fact that his future is still uncertain is really, really worrying. Speaking of Matt DiBenedetto, we're going to go ahead and talk about Wood Brothers and the rumors circulating around Wood Brothers Racing. Now, last night on the Door Bumper Clear Podcast, or a couple days ago when you're watching this video, Door Bumper Clear Podcast happened, and they basically said that the driver that's not going to be in the 21 car is basically not either going to be Matt DiBenedetto, who currently drives the car, or it's going to be Austin Cindric. What they apparently said was that it was a former guest that was on the podcast. A lot of people basically started speculating between maybe Jeb Burton, Harrison Burton, Doug Coby, or another driver that's been on there in the past. A lot of people basically are pointing to Harrison Burton to be the driver of the 21 car and not Matt DiBenedetto. And the reason a lot of people are pointing, and this actually makes a little bit of sense to me, the reason is because of certain sponsorship. Now, currently at the moment, there is a sponsor that Harrison Burton has that Team Penske has. What is that sponsor, you may ask? They currently have Dex Imaging. Harrison Burton is sponsored by Dex Imaging a majority of the year, and Team Penske's cars like Ryan Blaney, some of the Xfinity Series teams, they use that. Another reason that this potentially could be happening, where Harrison Burton could be moving over there, is because of the potential facts of, KHI Management, and that is a Ford organization, because he's been sponsored by Hunt Brothers Pizza. I wouldn't be surprised if that's another reason why maybe move over to Ford, considering Toyota is really, really built up with a lot of talented drivers, but there's really nowhere to go. You're going to see a lot of these drivers jump over from the Toyota plant over to the Ford and even the Chevy plants. We've seen this in the past with drivers like Noah Gragson and Riley Hurts, among others, that have jumped from different manufacturers and different plants, because there really is nowhere to go for that. So a lot of people are speculating. Now, I've been asking individuals about this, and from what I've been told, I have people that have insider information, and they told me that the rumors about the Matt DiBenedetto not going back to the 21 are absolutely true. Another driver that I have been told, though, that could potentially end up going to the 21 car, and we might need to keep an eye on this, is Ty Dillon. That was what I was told today when I asked somebody. Basically said that Ty Dillon may be the driver that goes to 21 right now. There apparently are other drivers that are up for grabs in the silly season, but to me, I really think that there is a very strong chance Harrison Burton does go to the 21 next year. And the reason, like I said, is sponsorship. Now, if I had to look at both drivers to compare Matt DiBenedetto to Harrison Burton, who do I think deserves the ride more? Look, I like Matt DiBenedetto a lot, but let's be for real. Harrison Burton has gone down the Xfinity Series and has won a lot of races in his time. 4 races last year. I know this year he's not won. And I know he's a younger driver, but they're looking for younger drivers as well that bring some funding. And Harrison Burton just says that to me. I think if that does happen, I think Matty D, unfortunately, is in a bad spot. And I really do think that Harrison Burton could end up going to Wood Brothers in the 2022 season. I really think that there is a very strong chance that this does happen. And we're going to be seeing probably some changes in silly season. I think silly season's picking up really soon. And I think Wood Brothers may be a surprising team. And we may see a new surprising driver that ends up at Wood Brothers for the 2022 season. And now we're going to go and jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we are talking about Junior Motorsports. Now, Kelly Earnhardt was featured on was featured on Series 7 NASCAR earlier this afternoon, and she said on there that Junior Motorsports is still looking to potentially head to the Cup Series in the foreseeable future. They're still looking at the charter market, along with a lot of other teams like 2311 Racing at this current time, along with other organizations like Petty. I believe Petty also, they mentioned Petty was involved in that as well, among other teams like GMS that are looking to potentially move up to the Cup Series in 2022. Now, what she also mentioned is that it's not going to be 2022. We're going to see Junior Motorsports essentially moved up to the Cup Series, but I think she also mentioned that it could be 2023 that Junior Motorsports jumps up to the Cup Series. We've talked about it multiple times on the channel that Junior Motorsports has potentially been looking to move up to the Cup Series in the next couple years, but unfortunately, the big reason why they've not been able to jump up to the Cup Series, and they're still having some issues moving up there potentially, is because of the fact of the charter market right now. Now, I think there have been some big bombshell moves that we've been seeing. We've seen College Racing buy up 2 charters. Team Trackhouse bought a whole organization to Chip Ganassi Racing's NASCAR team, and basically that has hurt Junior Motorsports' opportunity to jump up to the Cup Series right now. Now, there have been people that have mentioned maybe what Dale Jr.'s team at Junior Motorsports could do if they're going to jump in 2022 is basically they said maybe work with Petty and partner up with Petty Enterprises or Rich Petty Motorsports and partner up with them, but there's been also rumors that Rich Petty Motorsports could potentially move over to Toyota for the 2022 season as well. But like I mentioned, they are targeting maybe 2023. And I think this would make a lot more sense to maybe plan for later, save your money up a little bit and move in 2023. And if they are to move up to the Cup Series in the 2023 season, what team do they end up and what drivers do they end up bringing up to their organization? Maybe they bring up Noah Gragson. He's running full-time again for their team. They've had Noah Gragson in their plans since 2019, so maybe they choose Noah Gragson if he doesn't go full-time Cup by 2022. Maybe a driver like Ryan Newman, perhaps, if Ryan Newman's still around in a couple years, maybe they pick up Ryan Newman. Maybe Eric Almirola. I'm not really sure, to be honest with you, when they move up, but I don't think they're moving up next year. I think the earliest they are going to move up is 2023. And to me, I think that 2023 would make a lot of sense, and hopefully they do eventually move up to Cup Series in the foreseeable future, but Junior Motorsports is saying that there is a chance they'll be moving up by 2023. And now we're going to go ahead and jump on to the final major story of today's episode, as we are once again talking about the next-gen car. Now, there have been rumors circulating in regards that the crash test dummy situation has not been going very, very well, and the tests have not been going very, very well. But Scott Miller basically stepped in on Series 7 NASCAR radios, The Morning Drive, and talked to Pete Pasone, and he basically said that there is no delay on the next-gen car rollout for the 2022 season, despite the speculation and rumors going on for that. Now, a lot of people don't know the next-gen car is supposed to be debuting in this year's 2022 Daytona 500, and they have said that they are planning on using it on all tracks. However, there is a rumor going around that potentially that they are going to use the Gen 6 cars for the Bristol Dirt Race. There's been rumors basically since about a couple months ago that that was going to be the plan for the 2022 season, since we know for a fact that Bristol is going to be returning to the NASCAR schedule for the 2022 season, since it is a big deal for that run. Now, like I said, we've talked about on the channel about the crash test dummy situation where, although they basically had potentially issues with the test dummies, basically that they're getting killed, the sled tests are basically killed, we're all killing dummies. But one thing I want to say is I really do appreciate that Scott Miller's coming out here. We've had some statements come out, and now we have a NASCAR executive like Scott Miller who's not always been right on everything it says. But one thing I do appreciate is that they are coming out and basically saying, like, hey, we're basically saying that the rumors are not absolutely true. And you can't believe everything you see on Twitter, everything you see on Instagram, Facebook, or even see on NASCAR Reddit. We know the NASCAR Reddit in the past has had issues. And I'm not saying that everything NASCAR Reddit has done is absolutely wrong. I'm just saying overall the NASCAR Reddit has not gotten everything right. We've seen some wild, crazy stuff come out of NASCAR Reddit in the past that has, like I said, been proven right, but at times has been proven wrong. I know that Steve Neal brought this up, and he's a former person that worked in NASCAR. He's known NASCAR for 30 years now. He was like the competition director at DEI back in the 1990s into 2000s. But The thing I want to say is that I really hope that if there are safety situations, I think it's what's really important to note is that I think NASCAR is doing a good thing by catching this now right before things get out of hand. And they're basically saying if they catch something because they're going to be relying some information of that coming out really, really soon. That I think will be great. Hopefully we get to know those stories and talk really, really soon. And hopefully we'll know more about the safety situation it starts going forward. But I'm really glad that Scott Miller overall addressed this, and I'm glad there's going to be no delays. I don't think we need delay. I've been saying this for a long time. I think NASCAR is not going to delay the next-gen car, regardless of the rumors and the speculation. I think you're going to be going full into 2022. And I think unless there is some issues in crash and testing, your biggest race, Daytona 500, could be an issue. But we will continue to watch this story for sure. But they are saying that the next car is not going to get delayed for 2022. So, anyway, that's it for today's NASCAR news video. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel to get shown to notify when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Support pages on the link description below for that. And comment your thoughts on today's video. Do you think NASCAR is absolutely right? And do you think that the next car will 100% not get delayed or not? Let me know in the comments below. And what are your thoughts about all the other stories we discussed here today on the channel? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys next time for some more great and awesome NASCAR content. Take care, everybody.